everybody, it's Romania Black here, and I'm channeling Yuuji tonight because maybe if I channel Yuuji, nothing bad'll happen. Right? Maybe because Gojo's sealed, Nanami's gone off on his own, Ino's been placed in charge of Yuuji and Megumi, and Choso and Jugo and Mahito are all after me, trying to kill me, so I don't know why I make Yuuji sound like he's a southern boy from the central part of Georgia. But in any case, yes, things are not great. Since Gojo has been sealed, things are actually pretty bad, and I'm not excited about that. So, but I have a ton of comments to get through before we start this. So we just need to dive right into comments and go over that before we even get to Yuuji or whatever. So, user V95 talked about how Gojo turned down the power that he's known for to believe in his heart and know that Brain Coon wasn't ghetto. I like that. I like the idea that Gojo has always been built up to have the power of the six eyes and all that, and he turns it down to use his heart to figure out that it's Brain Coon, which is pretty cool, right? I like that a lot. As far as Gege and Yuta and Brain Coon is concerned, user 95 also said that Gege said in an interview that Yuta beat Geto because of the curses that Geto had were all split. There were some that were over by Nanami and the others by the twins. There were some that they were with Yuta, and there were some in another location with Gojo. So because his curses were split up, it was easier for Yuta to beat Geto. So it makes sense now when Gojo's talking up, Yuta, and Brain Coon's like, I don't really care. He's not really that tough. Now it makes more sense why Brain Coon would think that, which kind of sucks, right? Because Gojo was, talking a big game, and Brain Coon's like, nah, I'm not here for it. So there's that. Alessia Colley, as well as Pineapple 541, as well as Zachiel, as well as lots of people. We're all talking about the white-haired individual that we don't know who it is, but that was briefly shown in the last episode along with the blonde that I'm going to call Toby because he looks like Toby from Sweeney Todd. But they apparently were in episode 21 of season 1. And I went back and rewatched that episode today because I was like, okay, I want to go back and rewatch episode 21. There's lots of stuff in that episode that I'm like, oh, I probably needed to go back and rewatch this for a reason. It's so crazy, right? Because it's the baseball episode. It's one everybody kind of considers to be kind of filler. It's like, oh, it's just a baseball episode. No, nothing crazy here. Oh, and they're on a beach, Mahito and all them. No big deal. Oh, there's this white-haired individual that's mentioned briefly. No big deal. Actually, I think Gege intelligently put all this crucial information in this little filler-esque episode thinking that we wouldn't pay attention or we'd forget about it. And then Gege's like, I warned ya, like way back in that episode, because a lot of stuff that they were saying on the beach in episode 21 is now happening now. They talked about the Shibuya incident, the fact that Gojo needed to be sealed. Their plan is to agitate Yuji and draw out Sukuna, or agitate Yuji and trap him and kidnap him. So that's probably going to happen here, but they didn't want to do it until they could make sure they could seal Gojo. They didn't want to activate Sukuna unless chaos was needed. So it makes sense why they didn't want to try to get Yuji and Sukuna before Gojo was sealed, because if Yuji was agitated and Sukuna was like, I'm piss on this, and decided to leave, it could ruin their whole plan. They want to make sure Gojo was sealed first, and that the chaos wasn't against their favor, that the chaos was something they could control, like with the train and Mahito and all that. And then, now, they're going to try to bring Sukuna out. And that's what they were arguing about in the last episode. Do we bring Sukuna out? Do we try to kidnap Yuji? Do we just kill him? What do we do? And that's where we're at, right? They also talked about how Brain Coon felt like a student. Megumi, it like zones in on Megumi. A student was a landmine for Sukuna. Now, it's been joked at throughout the fandom of anime-only people. I'm sure the manga people are sitting there going, tee-hee-hee. But it's been joked at with the anime-only people that Megumi has been favored by Sukuna. That Sukuna, for some reason, is like all about Megumi. Is it because Yuji likes Megumi, or is it just Sukuna? I think it's just Sukuna, but we don't know why. Right? That's the big question. Why does Sukuna care about Megumi? Well, Megumi is like a 1 in a million talent, just like Gojo. So, and Sukuna's probably like, ew, Gojo, I don't want to deal with that, but Megumi. So for whatever reason, they don't want to target Megumi and get him injured because that might bring out Sukuna in a bad way. He's the landmine, right? And Sukuna, they establish, is a bomb in himself, right? And the thing about it is that Megumi is with Yuji now. So in order for all this to work, in order for them to get Yuuji properly and kidnap him, they can't injure Megumi. Megumi has a domain expansion, so there's that. So I don't know. That does leave a lot of variables up in the air of how they're going to go about doing this if they're not going to try. And the thing that I wrote on here is, do they even know that it's Megumi that's the student that's the landmine? I think Brain-kun does, but I don't think the others do, which could be a problem, right? Could be a thing. And they plan to have a few curse users accompany them, which we saw at the end credits of this last episode that the curse users are with them as well. So that's all panning out. They did mention Kamiya Juzo and that they were disposable and that they didn't trust them to follow through. Now, I don't want to know the answer to this question. We may find out in this episode. I couldn't remember if Juzo was the one. I feel like Kamiya is the one. Kamiya is either the blonde or the one that wanted to make Gojo into a coat rack from season 1. I can't remember which one is Juzo. Juzo's either the blonde or the one that wanted to make Gojo into a hat rack. I can't remember, and I didn't want to look it up because I was afraid of spoilers. So I'm sure you all will tell me in the comments which one it is. But apparently the curses thought they were disposable and they couldn't trust them to follow through. And of course, then we find the curse user that wants to make Gojo into a coat rack is talking about the white-haired monk, as they say. And they said they were androgynous and didn't know. The ironic thing is that they call them a white-haired brat. Someone pointed out in the Discord that the little red on their hair looks kind of like a koi fish. Again, the damn fish. We're going to bring up the fish of gay yearning. I have a feeling with this white-haired individual. But I thought it was really ironic that the two talking about it and wondering if they knew them were Mei Mei and Gojo, who are the other two white-haired characters in this series. So I like that Mei Mei and Gojo, the only two other white-haired characters, are like, do you know this person? No. Do you know this person? No. Like everyone with white hair are in a club and they all know each other. That's what it came across as. So yeah, so thank you, Alessia Colley, for getting me to rewatch that. Pineapple 541 talked about how the curse users we see at the very end credit things were putting 3 nails in the ground like the ones used for the veil. So there's a very distinct possibility they're putting up yet another veil for reasons that we don't know yet. So there's that we have to look forward to. And then Zachiel also noted about episode 21 of season 1. Seppi said that we didn't get to see Hanami's domain expansion, which I wanted to make note of that because to me, that is scary because it's not like, usually in other shonen that I read growing up, every villain got to show off their signature move. Every villain got to do their final attack. I mean, it was usually thwarted by the protagonist, but every villain got to showcase their final moves. Not in this series. And that's like Gege saying, no one is safe. Anyone can die, whether they have a domain expansion or not. And I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that. Fruit Punch Samurai talked about how Hanami broke the pact by attacking the crew, and now they're the first dead. So that whole thing that Brain-kun said about breaking pacts is very serious. Like, Hanami broke the pact, and look where they are now. That's just how it ended up working out. Geen noted that the prison realm is like a 6-sided dice. If you look at the prison realm, the little cube, each side has a certain amount of eyes, so it's like a dice. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now, the thing about that is, usually dice, you have 2. Where's the other die, or is there only 1? That's weird. That's weird to me. In the words of Jessica Wilde, that was weird for me. So, I don't know what to make of that. Anime Annie said the Toby curse user, we're just going to call them Toby for now, that Toby has the same voice actor as Mabuchi from Kuroko's Basketball, which just, that almost made me appreciate them. But they stabbed Ichiji, who I forget his name all the time, but they stabbed Ichiji. That's really sad. And also, they were like, there's that red curse there. I forget that they are a thing. But yeah, and honestly, I thought when we first saw the little red curse, it looks like a little creature. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's just one of Geto's curses that he just regurgitated and has there in case they need to use it. Which could be the case, but Anime Annie is anime only from what I understand. They were like, yeah, I forget it's there. I'm like, me too. And when I went back and watched episode 21 of the beach episode, the red curse is there as well. So this cutesy little red curse that we think is just there, it has a purpose. I'm terrified of that. I think my theory is going into this, the little red curse is going to be like a teleportation thing. It's going to be like a teleportation device, and it will get them from place to place and allow them to escape. That's why I don't think it's going to attack anybody. I think it's either to do like a final move where they allows them to vanish from sight, or it's going to like be a shield for something or absorb something. I don't know. It's creepy though. It's cutesy, but it's creepy, and I keep forgetting about it. Yeah. And so is it a random curse or not that we saw it on the beach episode 2? Do the curses know that Brain Coon is not ghetto? Anime Annie asked this question, and I think that they do. I think they know that it's not ghetto, that it's a curse. But I don't know. Could be that they don't. But I can't imagine Mojito working with Ghetto if they thought Ghetto was just a curse user. I can't imagine Jogo especially. I can't imagine Jogo and Mojito falling in line and taking orders from Ghetto unless they knew it were Brain Coon. I think if they didn't know a curse was inhabiting Ghetto, they wouldn't follow them. Especially Jogo's. Jogo's very much anti-human. No matter what, they're just using the curse users for convenience. But following them, I don't think Jogo was doing that. So I think they know that it's Brain Coon, right? Math talked about how, let me get this right. Math talked about, Tamiya, before I get to Math's comment, because that's my last one. Tamiya said that in Japan, they like to call Brain Coon Melanpan, which is kind of funny. And I'm going to call him Brain Coon because I feel like we could substitute Coon with Brain San, Brain Sama, Brain Chan, Brain Sensei. There's a whole host of things we can do until we find out exactly what Brain Coon is, other than just a curse, if they are a curse. So we still got a long way to go with that. And also Jogo should not be underestimated, Tamiya says, because they have the power of 8 Sukuna fingers, or at least that's what they've been labeled as having the power of, which, yeah, that's pretty strong. So, interesting. And then finally, Math talks about Hanami. I liked this justification because you have Hanami, you have Jogo, you have Mojito, and you have Choso. You have Hanami, who is there for nature and naturalism, representing the planet. They're the first to go. Thoughts and prayers. Then you have Jogo, who is for justice. Like, justice for Jogo. We've been saying in the Discord for weeks. But Jogo is there for justice for the curses. So they have a pretty broad scale agenda. And then you have Choso, who is the exact opposite, that has a very small scale agenda in that they just want revenge on their brothers. That's pretty much it. They don't really care about anybody else. And then you have Mojito, who just represents at large chaos and instinct and impulse. So I like that you have 4 different sides. You have Jogo and Choso are on 2 opposite sides of the justice agenda. Jogo's justice for all curses, and Choso is justice for like a handful. And then you have Hanami and Mojito, who were on opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of Hanami for nature and the planet and kind of this naturalism and order, and Mojito for chaos and raw instinct and impulse. So there's that. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. I liked that. And then Muda apparently created the pact with himself. That's why they were able to control the puppets at the end, which is good to know that they were able to create the puppets and form a pact with themselves. R.I.P. Muda, we shall miss thee. So yeah, those are my comments. I had a lot of them. Like I said before, please don't tell me any manga secrets. Don't explain anything that the show's going to explain later. And if you don't know if it's going to explain it later, then let's find out together first. Again, I feel like Yuji's like Opie from the Andrew Griffith Show, and he's just a small, simple boy from a small town just trying to do right by his friends. But real quick, before we get started on this, I know this has been a long intro, but I want to give a quick shout out over to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. Y'all help me get this wig, and it does not look bad. I pulled this wig out and was like, ooh, this is going to be rough, but I'm actually enjoying it. This is probably the most comfortable wig I've worn all season. So a special thanks to Patreon and our philanthropy tier for helping me to get this awesome stuff for cosplay. A special shout out to our philanthropy tier members, as well as Patreon and YouTube subscribers. But special thanks to Edgar, to Dana, to Anime Annie, to Tyrone, to Alex Cornejo, to Be Happy, to Kiri, to Eric, to Shimoyama, to Sunspots, to Translucent Men, to Anna, to Nameless Monster, to Goob, to Matthew Palfinier, to Ash You Got Snow Bitches, as well as Trails and Zachiel. Thank you all so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. All of my love. So yeah, I feel like such a kid. I got like juice. Got like juice for Yuuji because he's so innocent. No alcohol for Yuuji. He's a minor. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous because now that Gojo's been sealed, all bets are off. The villains are free to do whatever they want, and I'm a bit concerned. So we've got that to look forward to. But we're not going to waste any more time, y'all. We are going to dive right into episode 11 of Jujutsu Kaisen, season 2. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it, Lars. I don't know what you were expecting out of this episode, but for me, that wasn't it. What the fudge, Gege? What the fudge, Akutami? What the fudge, Jujutsu Kaisen? I was not expecting this episode to go this direction, and I don't like it. No, I like this episode a lot. It was very self-contained. Very, very self-contained, mainly between Megumi and Yuuji. But these 3 curse users, I'm a little bit worried. I'm worried for Ino, mainly, because it seems like whatever the hell that old lady granny medium has done, how they got a hold of Toji's body and got little bits and pieces of him, we're going to talk about this, and are basically inhabiting him and invoking his power. This series has been all about desecrating the dead, and I'm not here for it. I would like us to treat our dead with honor, please, Gege. And I don't know what you have against that, but this was a really good episode. It was definitely, this feels like a 2-parter. I know it's just Seance, but it feels like a 2-parter. It feels like next episode has to finish what this one discussed. So I don't know, but I brought Whiteboard-kun out because there's things I want to talk about and kind of go over, especially with poor Ino. Ino has an awesome technique and ability. He just got, it's like if you don't get beat by the gay, you get beat by the abs, and it's just like, it's not Gojo and Geto, it's Toji. But damn it. Okay, so we need to go through this episode and talk about what the hell is going on, because we had a lot happen in this episode. I just like that Yuuji, I didn't draw his little Sukuna slits here. I forgot those. I'll have to make up for it when I'm sure I'm going to cosplay as Sukuna at some point. Because let's be real, we all know that Sukuna is going to show up eventually. Especially after rewatching episode 21, I'm like, yeah, they're going to show us Sukuna at some point. We don't know when, we don't know how, but he's going to come. He was in the OP, for God's sake. So he's going to show up probably before the end of whatever this core is. I don't know if we're going to get a different OP than this. We might not. We might stay in this. We're already at episode 11. I don't know. But we're going to get Sukuna eventually, so I will cosplay Sukuna at some point. I already have ideas. So that'll have to happen at some point in time. But I just love Yuuji. I love how just pure Yuuji is. Yuuji is very much just a straightforward melee, close combat fighter who's just freaking strong. Like, his fists are strong. They compared him to Nanami. He's just got some powerful punches up his sleeve. And I like that about Yuuji. Yuuji is very... We're going to talk about... Put here and put Yuuji, Megumi... I want to talk about Ino. And then I want to talk about the curse users over here. The trio of curse users. The grandmama, the grandson, and the creepy as F man that is in this episode. But I like that Yuuji is just kind of like a close combat fighter. And he's very just pure and straightforward. He's like, he just goes right into the fray and is not afraid of it. And I love that about Yuuji. He doesn't have any special moves or techniques. He's just freaking strong. Kind of like, it makes sense why Todo and Nanami are all like, that's their boy. And Ino is the one that recognizes that his punches are really, really powerful. Because Ino's just kind of like, well, that was a big, decent force behind that. It took me a second to remember that the one dog of Megumi's was destroyed in the first season, and it kind of, the remnants of it absorbed into the other dog, and it's now this like chimera. It took me a second to realize that they'd combined. So with Megumi, we saw in this episode, we saw the wolf, we saw the bird, we saw the elephant, and we had the hares, the fleeting little rabbits. How adorable. Freaking cute. I love it. I absolutely love. Here's the thing. Sukuna loves Megumi. Sukuna loves a zoo. Sukuna just wants to have tickets to the zoo. Just wants to visit. Sukuna just wants to visit Megumi's zoo. And that's all I got this week, guys. I'm going to get my mind out of the gutter. Let's go back to the episode. But I like that Ino is impressed by Yuji. He could give Nanami-san a run for his money in terms of physical blows. Yeah, because Yuji doesn't really have anything else going for him except for physical blows, and he has Sukuna inside of him. That's literally, he's housing Sukuna. Those are his weapons. So, but yeah, I like that about Yuji. And Yuji, I liked during this entire fight, him and Megumi, they both were playing off of each other really well and interacting with each other well. And they weren't, I like that they're not really rivals in this series. And you think of a lot of shonen, you think of Ushida and Uryu and Ichigo and Bleach. You think of Naruto and Sasuke and Naruto. You think in those series, you have your duos of characters. You think Bakugo and Midorima and My Hero Academia, where they constantly like bicker and have polar opposite views and kind of banter and kind of get at each other's wits' end. But here, Megumi and Yuji get along really good. They don't have the same, personality by far, but they both at their core have kind of the same values. And so they play off each other really well, and they don't try to like nag at each other, which is fun. I like that. So one thing I also like about this beginning is that Yuji's sitting there trying to do like, what should we do here? Megumi is talking about the veil and how sturdy it is, and just goes on talking about all of the weak points and the strategizing. Megumi is a strategist, right? Megumi is a strategist. And he kind of, he takes after Gojo and Toji, whether he realizes it or not, in terms of his intelligence in a fight. I definitely think Megumi takes after his father as well as Gojo as his pseudo-parental figure of being intelligent, thinking about strategy, thinking about what to do. I think it's why Gojo was attracted to Megumi and why Toji was like, that's my kid, and that sort of thing. Which is interesting because Yuji seems very pure and straightforward, kind of like Gege was. A little bit, right? I think we talked back in the flashback episodes that I felt like Yuji and Gege would get along really well because they're both pretty straightforward, pure, instinctual, we fight with our heart kind of characters, whereas Gojo and Toji and Megumi fight with their minds. So it's a nice little mixture of the two, right? Which is great. And then Ino, of course, we'll get into his whole deal later, but Megumi's like, we need to find the weak point, and they're like, wow, we'll just, go to the top of this tower. That seems to be the most logical place. I loved throughout this episode that Yuji was just like taking these cutesy curses and just like knocking him out, and then the dog was coming over and eating him. I just imagine in the manga, it's exactly like that. It's super cute and weird. It's like Gege's humor on steroids. It's just so bizarre. And the veil is to keep sorcerers out. So like, we need to destroy the veil. And they find out about the 3 nails, which that one person's comment kind of hinted at basically. And Ino talks about like the real egg of Columbus idea. And I like that Yuji's like, what are we talking about? Egg? What? They're ignoring the fundamentals of barriers. It's a crazy idea. So if that's the logic, the veil source should be something that stands out. It seems like they were trying to lure them there, though. I feel like the curse users were trying to lure the 3 of them there. So they were luring Yuji and Ko to them. Well, if Brain Coon's idea is that we need to kidnap Yuji because he's Sukuna's vessel, then it would make sense they would want the curse users to lure them to them and take Yuji away. Get Yuji incapacitated, take him back to Ghetto, or Brain Coon in this case, take out Ino, take out Megumi, and then problem solved. So it feels like they were deliberately trying to lure Yuji and them there to them. And the one guy, because he had the curse technique of inverse, was like, well, I'll trick them into expending all of their energy, then I'll knock them out and be right as rain. But luckily, unluckily for him, lucky for our guys, Megumi's pretty smart and figured it out. So yeah, interesting. They say probably, even if they do realize it, the lower floors are swarming with transfigured humans. When they said that, I honestly thought that we were going to have an entire episode where it was just going to be like a melee and Yuuji and them were like going through the building like a maze. Now we skip all that. We have Megumi has a bird spirit, so we're just going to use that to like fly up and attack these guys. That was great. And the wires, the strings, oh my God. I loved Yuuji with the little fishing line, like using it as a weapon. It was so good. And they're like, all right, we're going to get the remaining 2 and stop the veil. The animation when Yuuji like breaks through the window and like gets up against the wall and he's like, I trust that Fushiguro has this under control. I was just like, the trust, it's so good. And Ino's like, I've got to do this so I can become a first grade too. What I'm afraid of is that that Ino is not going to make it. My fear is that it looked like he was getting beat to a freaking bloody pulp by the Toji lookalike, and I'm afraid Ino's going to die. This does not bode well for Ino. It doesn't. This episode's seance. I also love that as Yuuji and Megumi are about to fight the creepy curse user, that you see Yuuji with his 2 fists ready to go with the curse energy, and you see Megumi with the shadow, like the Chimera Garden, like the shadows coming off of him. It's really good. Really good. I don't know. Megumi's whole aesthetic, I get why Sukuna's into it, because Megumi is tall, dark, and handsome with a mysterious, shadowy, cursed ability that involves animals. And why would Sukuna not be attracted to that? Let's be real. So I see the aesthetic. I see why Sukuna's going for it. So seance. We get the seance not only in resurrecting Toji seemingly, but also Ino's ability. And damn it, show Gege. Why are we doing this? Why are we making him have such Haibara parallels? Because he does. Ino having the Haibara parallels of saying like, well, I'm not that smart, but I got a good heart. I'm like, well, damn it. And saying it for Nanami who has lost Haibara and knows what that feels like and knows the type of person that Ino is. And Ino's like, it's important for me to have your approval and for me to have like, what would Nanami do? And the thing about it is, Nanami is the last person who would want you to say, what would Nanami do? Nanami's not that type of guy at all. And so Ino saying that he is like revering Nanami, looking up to him and seeking him for guidance. Nanami's like, I don't think you should be doing that. It's just, the parallels to Haibara are really, really very, very sad. And so then he has the idea that he has auspicious beast summon number 1. So we have here Kaichi. So Ino has these auspicious beast summons. I love there's this spiritual aspect of it where he has to cover his face to summon the beasts. Like it's like in reverence. I like that. And because it's modern times, you would imagine if it was like, an earlier period or something, he'd have like a cloak or something. Here he just cut holes in it. He has the toboggan with holes on, and that's what we use. I love it. It's great. But number 1, we have a Kaiji. Kaiji, right, is the first one. It's like a drill. Looks like a drill. I just love the idea of beast summoning. It's not too different than in Megumi. It's similar. Not the same. But the one curse user watching the grandmother and doing everything he can to protect the grandma. The thing is, the curse users, their eyes all look so dead. Their eyes just look dead inside. Like there's just no humanity left in them. They say that they're free, but I'm like, are you? It's interesting. And so the 4 auspicious beasts. So there is a turtle, there's like a dragon, there's like a blackish dragon, and then there's there's like 3 dragon looking beings and a turtle are the power of the auspicious beasts. Interesting. And he's like, that was quite the coincidence. So I don't know what they're talking about with, and then Reiki is number 2, right? I want to see number 3 and 4, before Ino dies. So we can have closure and know this. But yeah, I am curious why they thought it was a coincidence. What they're being drawn to with this. Interesting. I love Reiki and the idea of moving with the water and almost like using the water to glide and move around. And that's like the beast power. I think that's cool. It's very different. It wasn't what I was expecting when he said he was going to summon it, but it's interesting. And then the one guy is working his hardest to prevent the grandma from being hurt so that he can get the seance on her end to work. So the grandma is the medium. Grandma is the medium to get the grandson to complete this possession of the spirit, seemingly, of Toji. Now, I am sure they're going to explain exactly what's going on, but I don't want to know yet. So please do my mods a favor and don't be telling me in the comment, well, this is how it works. I'm going to find out, y'all. Let my mods have a break. So they don't have to be so stressed. But yeah, we'll figure it out. But I do love that Ino talks about like keep in control. Don't lose your pride. Like lose your pride, stay in control. And you know that they've learned that from Nanami. So it's like they're just following Nanami's footsteps here. It's so heartbreaking. Now again, I was wondering why the sword that Megumi has and the punches that Yuji was doing weren't having any effect. I was like, well, why aren't they working? And we find out that it's because of his one technique, which is the one curse user uses inverse, which basically the stronger your punch is, the weaker it actually affects. So it's like, oh, okay. It's like, I see how this goes. But he's so creepy, and I don't know. The way that he looked, I know that that's probably his real face, but it did not seem like his real face. It looked, I don't know. It didn't seem like his real face. It was seeming like he was like basically scalping people's skins off of their face, which we'll talk about. But I'm like, has he been putting other people's faces on over his own? And like, is this like a Silence of the Lambs thing? Is he putting the lotion on its skin? It was very creepy not having it. And meanwhile, the grandson is keeping the grandma from getting hurt while she's channeling everything. And he keeps getting punched by Ino. And Ino's like, well, the guy's not all that strong, but he's trying to keep the old lady from getting hurt. And then she says, we're all set now. And so he pulls out, what is that? It's like a tiny little piece of him, of Toji, right? Is that what it is? It's like a tiny little chunk of his skin. What? So he has the chunk of skin or bone or something, and he eats it. And then she says, Zen and Toji. Like she summons him. Ah. And then we see him, how is it, grandson? And he says, yeah, it's great, Granny. What? What? Better than any before. What? So he's able to, so it looked like it was a chunk of Toji. It was a chunk of Toji, and he used it to transform into him, right? What the fudge? What the fudge? Now, I don't think it's as strong as Toji, but it's probably something close. So, the thing about it is, even if they are as strong as Toji, they don't have the intelligence or the technique of Toji. So, my big question with all of this, is Megumi going to see him? How is Megumi going to react to this? The fudge. How is Megumi going to react if he sees his dad or someone impersonating his dad? How's that going to go? Because Megumi was very calm and collected throughout this entire battle. Megumi was super calm and collected, was not deterred by the fact that this guy seemed to be overwhelmingly strong, and was able to deduce the situation and go over it. But as we've seen with Gojo and Geto, that personal connection was Gojo's undoing. Is Megumi seeing his dad or somebody that looks like his dad going to be his undoing? Is it going to shake him? Or is he going to be like, why are you here? Or is Megumi going to get super pissed seeing Toji and just beat him the hell up and then be like, oh, you weren't my dad? Oh, never mind. I mean, it could either go one of three ways. It's going to go one of four ways. Either Megumi is not going to see Toji at all. That's never going to happen, and we have nothing to worry about. He's going to see Toji or this guy impersonating him and is going to freak out and like lose his composure. Or he's going to see this guy impersonating Toji and either realize it's not him and he's like, whatever, or, oh, you're impersonating my dad, whatever, and still beat him. Or he's going to see this guy impersonating Toji and is going to lose his shit and beat him the hell up and then be like, oh, you weren't my dad? Oh, never mind. It's going to be one of those scenarios. We just got to see how it's all going to play out. And I'm like, I don't know. So we go to December 7th, 1989. Taylor Swift was writing an album. It was a fun time. Little baby Gojo came out with a full head of white hair. Little tiny baby Gojo Satoru with his little white hair. And the moment he opens those eyes, frickin' all those eyes. They don't show us a picture of baby Gojo with the eyes because I think it'd be too freaky. It would look too doll-like. He was a really cute little baby, though. Little baby Gojo. But man, just the realization that Gojo has been a target since he was born. Because, yeah, I mean, my thing is, I wanted to see more members of the Gojo clan. I wanted to see what his relatives look like. Did they have white hair like him, too? Is this white-haired monk that is with the white-haired monk that is with Geto and them has purple eyes? But are they a member of the Gojo clan? Are they a reject of the Gojo clan and they're out to fight? Because they said in the episode that they could fight Gojo back in episode 21. They're like, oh, I could take on Gojo. I'm like, are they a lost member of the Gojo clan? Who knows? But yeah, I want to see Gojo's mom. I really want to see it, but Gege is not giving us that. Gojo Satoru is born. So then we have, what I think is interesting is we don't see the grandson, but we see the old lady and the man and kind of what they were doing behind the scenes. They were curse users. She seemed like she was using her ability for espionage. So she had the ability to take on, by using the skins of someone else or pieces of someone else, she was able to impersonate them to do whatever means she needed to. So the granny is able to impersonate people using curse techniques and by having pieces of them, which was really creepy. The thing with the daughter, the moment that she sat on the guy's lap, I was like, that's your daughter? Because I don't know if any of you have a relationship with your dad, but it's not like that. Not usually. So I started to wonder if she was really his daughter or like his mistress, and then we find out it's neither. This woman was sent to assassinate him. So we see that. Then we see this creepy mofo who's been skinning people's faces off of them. Nope! That is the creepiest thing ever. Like, the one guy's face rips off halfway, and the other guy is buried in the ground and is slowly getting his face, like, torn off. Oh, I can't. I'm like, Gege, what the fudge is this nonsense? At that point, I was like, okay, I know Yuji's all about saving lives, but this is some messed up shit. I was like, nope. And so this guy's freaky as hell. And so basically they talk about how the curse users were free to live and do as they pleased until Gojo was born, right? Now, there's a couple things with this. One, there are people in suits walking around gathering the curse users that are seemingly for an organization that wants Gojo dead. Now, are they with the Star Religious Group? What's the deal? Like, at this point, Gojo's a kid. It's not, because there are some things I want to notice here. There is definitely a group targeting Gojo. They're in suits, and we don't get to see any of their faces. So we don't know if any of them are people we should know. Not sure. But so is it like the Star Religious group? Is it another group? We don't know. Why would the Star Religious group, they probably wouldn't have any reason to corner Gojo at this point, but it could be like a cult group similar to them that want Gojo gone, right? And then that brings up the idea, because we know that later on Geto forms this group of curse users, right? And for the sake, the goal of that group is to eliminate any non-sorcerers. However, that does beg the question, because these people were around before Geto and that group even formed. So the question with that is, were these curse users that were causing havoc back then, were they roped into an organization with the folks with the suits under the guise that they wanted to kill Gojo because he was a threat to all of their existences? And did they, from there, when Geto started the group of curse users, did they jump ship and jump over here to join an alliance with Geto? Because it would make sense that the reason why these people were hired to begin with by Brain-kun was that Brain-kun could have very well been posing as Geto for years, at least a year, right? But there's a very good chance that Geto, in the year, let me get this right, there's a chance that Geto died a year ago. It feels like so much longer than a year, right? It feels like so much longer than a year. So he died 1 year ago, and meanwhile, Brain-kun has been enlisting curse users from Geto's organization, right? And I'm sure the twins were part of that. And I'm sure that the twins originally joined Brain-kun because they're like, we want revenge on Gojo for killing Geto. And Brain-kun's like, well, I can help with that, but I need all the curse users to follow me because I need to use them to help seal Gojo and also to help whatever his agenda is, or whatever its agenda is. And the twins were probably like, sure. And so they've been gathering up curse users. That also brings the idea that over here, we saw Yuta with one of the curse user, and Gojo was talking with them. So there is a question of, did this curse user that was once part of Geto's group, did they know about Brain-kun or not? I don't think they did, because Gojo didn't know about Geto still being alive. So it's interesting. What we don't know as an audience at this point is exactly the extent Brain-kun has done it in enlisting curse users to help with this agenda. And we don't know who has been targeting Gojo. They say he has 100 million yen bounty on his head, right? So it could very well be that there were lots of groups targeting Gojo from the start. A child born to the Gojo clan with the 6 eyes. Like, how do they know this? A total bounty on his head is already over 100 million yen. So there's been a bunch of groups possibly targeting Gojo because they know how strong he is. And they were like, well, if we take him out as a child, then we don't have to worry about it. That does make me feel really bad for Gojo, because Gojo has literally never had a normal childhood. He grew up literally targeted from day one and just had to but because he was Gojo, he was able to get through it. I like that Gege kind of shows that. And oh my God, the cafe scene where they're all looking at Gojo and the coffee and everything, like they can't sit still just around Gojo. He just looks up at them and just all he has to do is stare at them. Quit looking at me, weakling. That mentality of Gojo. Gojo was such a little brat as a kid, but you can't blame him because, he's been targeted his whole life. It's like he had to grow up quick and he had to grow up fast to stay alive. But he was always that strong. I feel like, again, this is adding to the board of gay yearning. I feel like Geto, being one of the only people that accepted Gojo for a human being and not being this ridiculously overpowered individual, the fact that Geto treated him like a normal human being says a lot. And now look where we are. Man, Gege was just like, I don't like this character, but I'm going to give him an awesome backstory and then shove him into Angstville. And I'm like, damn, Gege, how dare you, right? So that was just crazy. I loved the symbolism of the coffee cup, like just smash, like Gojo just wrecking plans. Man, one thing I do love, we cut back to the battle between Yuuji and Megumi. One thing I love is Megumi is so calm. Like so cool under pressure, which is different than how he was, you know, at some points in season 1. So again, I'm curious if he's gonna see Toji and have a reaction. We'll get to that though, I'm sure. And meanwhile, they're like, we got to figure out. And I like that Megumi tried to do the bluff of saying Gojo is here in Shibuya. And then the guy's like, well, no, because your friend there just blurted out loud that he's been sealed. So you've messed that up. And I love that Yuji's like, you tried. He's like, you suck at lying, but you tried. So it's okay. I love Megumi's like, I hate you. Stop. It's hilarious. I absolutely love it. And then we have the hair, the little bunny rabbits. Megumi in this moment was giving me Lan Wangji vibes from Modao Zushi. And I just love Yuji holding the one rabbit being like, what are we going to do? I'm telling you, I'm starting to see why Sukuna is a little bit attracted to him. We'll see. And then he's like, that's not the problem here. What is up with him? Is he a famous sorcerer? I can tell by his stance. So he seems like Toji, but he's not. He's copying him. And Ino knows he's strong. And he does number 4 is Ryu. We don't know what number 3 is. Number 4 is Ryu. They're all based on elements, right? Because you have Rei, and Kai. So you have 3 elements there. But then, yeah, Toji sneaks by him and takes the damn toboggan off his head. No! Also, damn it, Ino's so handsome! Ino's really handsome without toboggan, damn it. Ino looks really good there. But then he gets punched, and then the one guy brings him up and just, just starts to go to town punching him. Not good. Not good. There's blood splattered everywhere. I don't like where this is headed. We don't even get to see it in this episode. That's the problem. We don't get to see what's happening. This does not bode well. The fact that the episode doesn't show us the end result has me worried that that Megumi and Yuji are going to find Ino and he's going to be dead. And either the grandma and the guy impersonating Toji are going to stick around, or they're going to leave when they realize the one guy's out of commission, and then Ino's just going to be dead. And then what do we do? Is Nanami going to come back? Is he not? Is one of the other curses going to show up? At this point, we don't know what's going to happen because anything could happen, and that's terrifying. So there's that. I do like the idea they do the fake out where we see the elephant, we see everything. Megumi tests using the elephant to see if the impact hits him. And he's like, what the hell is this? Appearing and disappearing. You're reckless. And he's like, if you're a man, be clear and decisive. And Megumi goes, clear and decisive? That's Yuji's role. He's like, I'm not clear and I'm not decisive. That's Yuji's job. I'm just going to be here testing the waters with anything. Just so we know. But I do like the fact that we got the little fake out and we got them both attacking him at the same time. And then we flashed back to see that was their strategy all along. And it's what they were going to do to get at the one guy and finally be able to land a hit. But damn. The animation, everything, the battle was fluid. I loved it. And I loved that what this did was this episode showed how good Yuji and Megumi work together. That they are very, very effective as a duo. And the one thing is that Yuji is so sweet that even when Yuji doesn't get it, he trusts Megumi and he's like, what if we did this? Well, what about this? What about this? And they run through all of the options together, and it's not this situation where Megumi is aggravated at Yuji not getting it or Yuji being flustered because he doesn't understand. They communicate really well together and they figure out a solution like that, and it's very satisfying. But what's not satisfying is the fact that this episode ends so quickly, right? He's like, we don't want him to know we figured it out. And then they both work together at the end, which was great, right? They both were able to work together. It worked out great. And then the episode freaking ends. They're both like, well, you're surprisingly adept. He's like, really? And then that's it. I was like, show, why did you end it there? I guess that is one good thing about this season is that the creators are not trying to give us like a big recap or do something to like make an episode end at a certain point. They're just like, nope, this is where it's ending. It's like, right? So yeah, next week is the halfway point of this season. Not the halfway point of this part though, but here's the thing. It's the halfway point of the season, but we are not the halfway point of this whole Shibuya incident. No, we've just gotten started. So that makes me think that we're going to have the same OP for the rest of the season, which I'm fine with, but I don't know. I think we're going to honestly have this OP for a long time because we haven't even gotten Toto. We don't even know where Toto is. We've not gotten to Meimei. We've not gotten into Sukuna. We've not gotten into like any of the other battles. We don't even know where Nanami is right now and what he's doing. Although Nanami showing up to fight this Toji lookalike, I've wanted Nanami and Toji on the same screen together, but not like this. And it's not the actual Toji. We're not seeing an 8-pack, so how dare you? How dare you, you mohawked freak, impersonate Toji? How dare you? If I'm being honest, when he first took out the little capsule, I thought it was a curse womb. I thought he was eating a curse womb painting. And then when they said Toji, I was like, that's not a curse womb. What are we doing? So I don't want anybody to explain exactly what it is in the comments. I want to find out in the next episode because like the situation with the veil, somebody was like, oh, there's 3 nails. Did you notice? They were going to explain it in this episode, so I really didn't need to know. I would have figured it out. So just be diligent. Don't make my mods work harder than they have to, please. Because they will tell me if any comments have spoilers, and I just won't read them. Because I've waited too long, and I love this show too much to waste time being spoiled on a comment. Cheers. So yeah, that was a pretty good episode. Very disturbing, very concerning, but filled with satisfying moments. Just what we expect from Jujutsu Kaisen, right? And it was very self-contained. It was literally just Megumi, Yuuji, and these 3 curse users and Ino. Ino, who I'm extremely worried about. But we haven't seen the 3rd. So, but he looked like he was getting beat to a pulp, so I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm concerned. So, in any case, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you all thought of this episode. I ain't got nothing more to say this week. It was pretty much just disturbing and filled with many things that are questionable. Lots of questions, and I'm hoping that next week gives me lots of answers, but I love Yuuji and Megumi working together. We need more episodes like this, please and thank you. But we'll just have to find out more next week. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below of what you thought of this episode right here and all of its disturbing and weird elements. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week to see what fresh fun awaits us for another episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. Bye!